Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install the Gator Recoil on this 2017 Ford F-150 with a 5.5 foot bed. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing that you're going to want to do is take your canister, place that in your truck, place it as far forward as you can get it. Now if you have the factory Ford drop-in bed liner, you might have to do some modification to get it in. So on the back of our canister you can see that we have a seal here. So as we push our canister back, we want to make sure that seal sits on top of our bulkhead. You want to make sure it goes all the way down like that. Next I'm going to grab my passenger side rail. Now if you set this according to your bed cap, so the flat part would go on top of your bed cap, and you're going to have at the top a little hole that's going to be on the tailgate side. That's how you know that this is the passenger one and not the driver one. I'm actually going to flip that to the underside, and you can see that there's this channel that runs along the bottom. And what we're going to do is take 6 of our nylon locking nuts, and we're going to put those into this channel. So next we're going to take our end cap, and we're going to put that on our tailgate side of our rail. We're going to slide one of our locking nuts to the back, and you can see there's a hole right there. We're going to put a provided Allen head small bolt through there, and then we're just going to snug that up. Now you want to make sure when you're doing this you don't over tighten it, and then we're going to flip it back over, and on the top we're also going to have a hole with that hole in the rail that we showed earlier, and we're going to have a small bolt that we're going to put in there. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that down as well. You can just snug that down. Again, make sure you don't over tighten it. Next, we're going to take 3 adjustable stop locks and 2 clamps, and we're going to install those on our remaining 5 nuts that are in our rail. So we're going to take first a stop lock, and we're going to slide one of our nuts over and install another small Allen head bolt, and we're just going to loosely thread that in for right now so that it still has the ability to slide. Now when you install this, you want to make sure that it's facing the inside of the rail or the inside of the bed. So next what we're going to do is actually take our clamp apart. So we're going to set the bolt and the smaller portion of the clamp aside, and then we're going to take a long Allen head bolt and we're going to feed that through the bottom of the clamp. Now it's going to face the outside or the bed rail, and again we're going to install that on our next nut, and that's just going to be loose so that it still has the ability to slide. And next we're going to do another stop lock with a small bolt. So now we're going to install the larger portion of our clamp on our next nut. And again, just make sure that that clamp, the L portion, is facing towards the outside of the truck. And then on our last nut we're going to install another locking stop. So now we're going to align the channel on the bottom of our rails to the rail on our canister. We're going to push that forward. We're going to lift up slightly on our canister and then push it the rest of the way forward. And the top of the rail should fall just underneath the canister. And then our holes at the bottom should be lined up. Now we're going to take our self-tapping screw and use this in our hole that goes through our rail and into our canister. Now just be careful, because if you drop this, it could fall inside your canister, and then you'll have a heck of a time trying to get that out. So our first latch stop is going to go up towards the canister. And then we're also going to take a clamp and put it up there as well. We're also going to take the back portion of our clamp with our long bolt that we took out earlier. We're going to put that back together. You want to make sure this portion goes behind our rail and our bed. And then we're going to go ahead and put our bolt back through. And we're just going to loosely install this right now. We're not going to tighten down anything just yet. Now on the top portion of this clamp, you're also going to have a threaded hole to the top. And what we have is kind of like a little bump stop for our rail. And we're going to thread that in, making sure we have the Allen head portion facing towards the inside of the truck. And again, we're just going to loosely thread that in for right now. Now our middle latch stop is adjustable, so you can put it anywhere in between your two clamps that you want, depending on what kind of cargo you're hauling. But I'm just going to, for right now, put mine right about in the middle. So now my back latch stop is going to go pretty close to the end of the rail, so I'm just going to put that up there for right now before I tighten it down. And then I'm going to put together my back clamp. We're going to do that the same way we did the front one. We're going to make sure the back portion of our clamp goes behind our bed rail. We're going to put our bolt through the bottom and into that back piece of our clamp. Loosely thread that in place. And then again, we're going to put our stop in the top portion. Just thread that in, again, making sure that your Allen head portion is facing out. And now you're going to go ahead and repeat all those steps on your other rail before we begin to tighten everything down. So now before we tighten anything down, we need to check the spacing between our rail and our tailgate. So we need to go ahead and close the tailgate. And then we can see that there's some space here. Now your kit's going to come with a plastic spacer. You can just put that in between the tailgate and your rail, and then you're going to slide everything up right to that piece so that you can still pull that out, but that'll give you a nice tight fit. You're going to do that on both sides. So next we need to measure the distance between the rails. We're going to do that at the top. And now we want to make sure at the back we have the same distance. So this has a little bit more distance in the back, so what we need to do now is adjust our spacers, our plastic spacers, in our clamp, and then to make sure we have that correct distance, and then we can tighten down our clamps. So now as you're adjusting this clamp, you want to make sure that you have it the same on both sides. So I'm going to adjust it just till it's about flush, and then we'll recheck it. So now that we've adjusted our clamps, we're going to go ahead and measure one more time. And now that looks good. So now we can go ahead and tighten down the two clamps that are closest to our tailgate. So I'm going to slide this clamp as far back as it'll go. And I'm going to tighten the bolt underneath first. That's attaching the clamp to the rail. And then I'll go ahead and tighten down the bolt that's attaching our two clamps together. You want to make sure as you do this that you apply a little pressure to the top to make sure everything is seated properly. We're going to do that on both sides. Now we can push our stop latch all the way up as far as it'll go. And we can go ahead and tighten that down. Again, just remember you don't want to go too tight. Just snug it up. And then go ahead and repeat that on the opposite side. So now we can go ahead and tighten down our middle stop latch as well. Now when you're tightening down these stop latches, you want to make sure that you're doing the same location on the opposite side. Now on our rear location, we're going to tighten down our stop latch all the way to the rear up against our self-tapping screw that we put in earlier. Again, we'll do that same thing on the opposite side. So now on our rear clamp, we're going to tighten down our spacer right until it touches the rail, and then we'll go ahead and stop, and then we'll tighten down our rail same as we did on the front one. Tighten the bottom first, and then we'll go ahead and tighten the clamp together. Then we'll repeat that on the opposite side, and we'll go ahead and test the operation of the cover. So now we can pull our cover out, and it should engage in our first set of stop latches, just like that. So then from here forward, we're going to have to pull our handle, keep pulling it out. Should engage in our next stop, that's good. Pull it again, and it should engage our last one. Good. And next we're going to take our drain tube and just push it through the bottom of our canister, and then you can run it out any hole that you want in your bed. And I'm just going to run it to the outside of the bed liner that we have installed. Just like that. You're going to do that on both sides. Alright guys, that completes the installation. If you have any questions, give us a call or visit us online. Thanks.